This is the Fantasy Roadshow.
Welcome in to another episode of the Fantasy Roadshow. We are your hosts. You can call me Truck. I'm joined as always by Kulz and Shane O'Mac. You can find us on Twitter at fantasy_trucker, at Kulz_sports, at smccormick_ff. Make sure you follow the show while you're at it, at Fantasy Roadshow. Check us out on Instagram, TikTok, the Fantasy Roadshow on all platforms. Go check us out. This episode is brought to you by Rule One Proteins. Go to www.rule1proteins.com. Enter promo code ROADIES40 at checkout to get 40% off. That's ROADIES40 for 40% off. Boys, how we doing? We're back and we're grinding already. Let's do this, man. Let's do this. How you guys doing?
At Fantasy Roadshow on all platforms.
Yes, at Fantasy Roadshow. Oh, it's not the?
No.
Okay, at Fantasy Roadshow on all platforms. My mistake. But go check us out. Shane, how you doing today, buddy?
Man, doing good.
Nice. All right, so we're here today talking way too early quarterback rankings. As Cole's mentioned before, we think it's a good tool for everybody to use to kind of formulate where you have everybody ranked right now as the season is still fresh in our mind, and kind of your anticipation of what's going to happen next draft season. And of course, this list will not be the same list as we're going to be showing you right now when we're drafting. Things are going to change. Teams are going to change. Coaches are changing. So we got a lot of updates to go through, but right now this is where we think we're at. Coles, you got anything on there?
Yeah, TikTok. We're on TikTok.
On all media platforms, we are available. And
TikTok.
we
Can I just say that I said I made the comment like TikTok, you don't stop, and like
TikTok.
people like had no idea what I was talking about.
Yeah, that's dating you a little bit.
It's an old
Shane.
reference, but yeah,
When was that?
It's in a song.
it's a song. Yeah.
But
Coles doesn't even know it.
No, I'm saying, when did you say that? I didn't.
Oh,
catch
I was around some friends, and then I said it again last night to Jackson, and he's like, "What are you saying? What are you doing?"
Yeah.
What are you talking about, Dad?
TikTok. The TikTokers don't.
How
follow.
is Jackson Mac, by the way?
Still good. He big news here in the household. He got a perm, so he went the ramen noodle perm look, which is all the rage, I guess, with the middle school kids nowadays. Not that I know that, but that's what I've heard.
Well, if that's the case, we need a Jackson Max appearance here in the next couple of days, or the next couple episodes, so to speak. So let him know that we're looking out for him to make an appearance.
Put a face to the perm. Speaking of Jackson Mac, I told you guys that I started watching Sons of Anarchy.
Oh, I'm so excited for you.
Right? I told him, I was like, dude, how do you not remember that series? It's such a great show.
No, I didn't. I've never watched it.
Oh, so okay. I thought you said you maybe did, but then forgot.
I watched like episodes. I think my dad was at one point was hammering through it, and I was just watching TV, caught a couple episodes with him, but I just realized I haven't seen it. Like I haven't seen anything yet that I've been watching in season 1. But it's good. It's really good. But I have issues with. I mean, I'm just like a critical person, and like when they brought in episode like 4 or 5, when they patched the tribe, Jax goes out and like antagonizes the Mayans and brings them back, and they have that shootout where they're like, sending a message. They didn't kill any, like they should have firing squad killed all of them. I don't understand why is that? Why did everyone just get up and go away on their bikes?
I don't know. It's not fresh in my mind. It's been a long time since I've seen it, so I can't speak on that. But yeah,
I'll just say it's one of those series that gets better with each season, and that's a good show that gets better and better.
Yeah, and it's a good show for sure. But like, that didn't make any sense to me. And those are the things that turned me off.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Unrealistic.
They had them lined up and like are shooting. They're having a shootout, but no one died. Like it was a
Kulz is just picturing Call of Duty and just wiping out the
no,
whole squad.
I'm thinking of like, well, yeah, a little bit, but also like they had them lined up, backs to them, just like and shooting. It made no sense to me how no one died. Like it should have been at least a handful of deaths.
Yeah,
and I don't know. It was really weird. I didn't.
Shane, did you ever watch the spinoff Mayans?
No. Well, no, I haven't. But I've just gotten Peacock, and I think it's on there. So I'm gonna start it.
Yeah, I never watched it either. I just that show was so good that it just didn't live up. Kind of like Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. I didn't watch Better Call Saul. Breaking Bad was so good, and I probably should dive into both of them now that I'm talking about
Better
it.
Call Saul is really good.
I've heard. Anyway, enough pop culture talk. We are here today talking quarterback rankings. Kulz, whenever you're ready, you can pull up the our rankings list, and we'll kind of just we'll kick it off.
Yeah, I will also just note that I'm not satisfied with that response on Sons. So
okay. We'll talk.
Like I almost called you and was like, this is really bothering me, and then I decided to save it for the podcast.
Yeah.
But all right, there we go.
All right, well, let's start with the top 5, and we'll kind of roll through because they're going to be very similar across the board. Everybody has Josh Allen at number 1. It's pretty obvious. I mean, 4,300 yards this year, 29 touchdowns. He did have a career high of 18 interceptions and a career high of 15 rushing touchdowns. He's actually never been in the double digits, so a bit shocker there. The guy's just been an animal this season. He deserves the number 1 spot, in my opinion, and I think that's why we all have him there.
Yeah, the biggest disparity here is this Joe Burrow. I don't know that we need to go through the stats of each person, but like let's kind of just highlight big disparities, right?
Okay.
I agree. Allen has been how many years running number 1 quarterback?
4. Well, last year he was the number 2 quarterback, but prior to that he was the number 1. Those prior 2 years.
2-1. Yeah. So 3 out of the last 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, he's on an offense, as we talked about last episode, that just highlights him. He's just an absolute beast. Now, what about Hurts too? Because obviously there's going to be people saying the Eagles. I mean, AJ Brown just deleted all Eagles.
That's crazy.
Related posts and completely separated him from the team. So you can expect AJ Brown not to be there next year. I think for me, it's just his cheat code rushing.
15 rushing touchdowns this season.
I'll lower him if they ban the tush push. I'll lower him maybe a couple spots, but until they do that,
if they ban the tush push and AJ Brown is not there, he will be going down in my rankings as well.
Okay. I want to also say with Hurts, like I was shocked that he was number 2 this year after how bad it's been the last, last 4 weeks of the season. Besides the Giants game, he was still over 20 in 4 out of those last 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And, didn't have any of his 30, 40 point games, but it's just been consistent in that like 23 to 26, 28 range all season. So despite them being on a horrible losing streak, and it seems like Sirianni's going to be fired. If they lose to the Bucs, like Sirianni's gone, right? You can't give him another shot. You just had
I don't know, man. I don't think Sirianni's gone if they lose to the Bucs.
Well, there's already rumors that he's gone regardless. So I think that's why I say like the Bucs is probably just the cherry on top kind of thing.
Yeah, I could see
he's lost the locker room. Like it's crazy how the NFL has changed to where, I mean, we've seen Belichick, Carroll, like some of these high profile, great coaches. If you're not performing now, then you're on the hot seat. And we're seeing this with Sirianni. It could happen literally in the same season. So I don't know. I think his seat is a lot hotter than you think, Truck. I would be concerned if they get bumped by the Bucks. If you win a game and like you kind of reignite something, maybe I understand. But if you completely lose a locker room, AJ Brown's gone, like there's so much toxicity clearly in that team and clubhouse, you just have to cut ties.
Yeah. And if they fire him, for me, I think the fit is Mike Vrabel, somebody that comes in, hard-nosed guy, builds that culture, right?
Reestablishes the culture quickly, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. Like, you have so many good coaches out there that now is the time to just be like, all right, what the fuck's going on? Let's wipe the slate clean. And you don't want to lose, someone as high profile and you have all that momentum. You have Hurts. The offense still can move the ball. Obviously, defense is the factor. But, yeah, anyways, his cheat code is what puts him at 2, keeps him at 2 for me.
Yeah, agreed.
And then let's talk Burrow. I wanted to get there sooner just because it was our biggest disparity here in the top 10.
Yeah.
I guess, Truck, start. You have Lamar. We both have – let's put it this way. We all three have Lamar. I had him there at 3 as well, but I just felt like it was so chalky going all the same 3, and I just want to put someone in my top 3 like Burrow, who had a very down year. He's going to have a chip on his shoulder, wanting to bring the Bengals back to the front. There's so much like unexpected bounce back from year to year in the NFL that like you have to have some of that in your rankings. So that's why I put Burrow at 3.
Yeah, I can see it. I mean, I was very close to putting him at 3. The more I think about it, he probably deserves to be at 3 because, Burrow, a gun to my head, I'm probably taking Burrow over Lamar. I just think he's a better quarterback. But just fresh off of Burrow not playing and Lamar, the Ravens being as good as they are, that's kind of why I have him at 3 or 4. But I could definitely be switching those by draft season.
I also think there's an element of Monken's probably not going to be on the Ravens. There's a lot of talk about him getting a head coaching job.
He deserves it,
which is crazy. That is he's transcending through the ranks that quickly. But he's getting when you're getting interviewed by multiple teams, you can maybe expect him not to be there. So that would probably, I don't know that the offense would change that much, but that would be, bringing in someone entirely new after they've established what they have so far this year. But I want to hear what Shane O'Mac, since you have him.
Yeah, so I'm the low guy on him. And so my concerns right now is I'm factoring in 2 things. One, I think T. Higgins is gone for sure. I don't see him coming back. So maybe they replace him with somebody either via the draft or free agent, which that would help. And then 2, I think it's been the last 2 years or maybe in the last 3 years, he always has that first slow start, like a month slow start due to injury or something happens. So those are the factors. But also it's just, man, I like some of these new guys and other guys that showed consistency this year. Nothing's really changed in their situation so far that I think is what makes me put them ahead of him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing I think is interesting, man, it sounds so much different with that hat off. Holy shit. One thing I think with Burrow, I don't remember what I was going to say, but okay. So I'm definitely that's going to be my stack this year. I remember one of my thoughts, but so anyway, so one of that's going to be my stack this year. Chase will be my 101. Chase is going to be my number 1 wide receiver, guaranteed. I was expecting that this past year to be his massive breakout, and unfortunately, because of injury, it wasn't. That's still coming, and I think that's going to be next year. as high I was on the CD and Dak stack last year, that's kind of, I think, how I'm going to be on Burrow and Chase. I was kind of there going into this season, not as much on Burrow, but I'm just kind of holding that over to this season. I lost what I was going to say again.
All right, well, let's keep going then. We got Patrick Mahomes at 5. Shane, you have him at 4. And then Dak.
I remember what I was going to say. So Joe Burrow, Shane O'Mac, you having him at 10 and where he's going to end up being drafted in that top 5, like, to me, that Joe Burrow's on your do not draft list. Like,
probably, yeah. As of now, yeah, I probably not drafted him because I will probably prioritize one of these other guys in the first 4 rounds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's like when I see something like that, to me, that's usually a guy that is on my do not draft list. You know, when he is that far below, I don't know if you want to say consensus because I don't think there really is one at this point, but yeah, anyways.
Well, the next big disparity I see is, Mike, you have Justin Herbert at 6. I have him down at 10, and Shane has him down at 12. So why don't you go ahead and speak on that, why you have him a lot higher than we do?
Yeah. So, like, for me at this point in the season, a lot of my ranking is just talent. Like, I'm just believing in talent. Situation and circumstance will come into it once we get more clarity. But, like, right now, we don't know where anyone's going to be free agency wise. There's so many pieces. Coaching, there's so many pieces that are still, like, let's say Harbaugh goes to the Chargers, Vrabel, one of these offensive young-minded coaches go to the Chargers. Like, I don't know, if you put Kellen Moore and Ben Johnson in a room together, you're going to tell me that Herbert's not going to have a fantastic year with how good he is. So I just have, like, him up there because of talent. I think he's had down years, 2 straight years because of the situation with Staley and, you know, unfortunate injury luck. So I just think that moving into, he's one of the best in the league, period, talent-wise. So, like, 3 straight seasons, I don't see it if they bring in the right coach and have, you know, that offense isn't so far gone that they can add a couple pieces in the offseason and be one of the best in the league. So that's why I have him there.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like I'm too low on him. It was hard for me to find a good spot for him. But from what I saw in the other players I have ranked above him, Dak, Purdy, Stroud, I think as of right now, I'd rather go that route. But I can understand where you're coming from. Yeah.
So to me, like, Dak, is he going to have another top 5 year? I mean, yeah, maybe. It's not, the NFL is not that trendy. There's so much turnover. Look at the playoffs this year that I just don't know that, like, I just can't always follow because someone's had such a good year. Like Purdy, for example. Yeah, he's in that system, but, like, how much longer is he going to be a top fantasy quarterback? I don't know. Some of that is just, I got to take talent over a team that had everything going for them. You know, the Niners, other than that injury in that 3-game slide with the injury to Trent Williams in that 3-game slide, they've been rolling, and teams don't in the NFL. They just don't have that much luck from year to year on situation and everything going their way. So,
yeah. Shane, why do you have Dak inside your top 5? And I mean, I'm right there with you, but why don't you speak on that since you're a Cowboys truther?
Yeah, I just don't think much changes. I think look at last year as the outlier for Dak. When you look at, like, his last 3 years, like, I don't know, I don't have the stats in front of me, but I want to say 2 years ago, he was a top fantasy quarterback as well. I think last
8.
year. So
no, he looks like he trades off every year. So it's dating back to 16 and 17. He was 7 and 10. And then he was 14. Then he was 2 in 2019, 32 and 20, 8 and 21, 18 and 22, and 3 and 23. So it's like every other year, it seems like something happens. Probably with the Cowboys, just because, you know, they're the Cowboys and they seem to kind of trip up every once in a while, or something goes wrong for them.
I think they realized, like, they went into the season like, yeah, we can run this offense through the running game, and they just didn't have the personnel to do that. And that's not the strength of their offense. Like Dak and CeeDee Lamb and the tight end is the strength. And so you got Brandon Cooks back again next year. He was on a 2-year deal. Ferguson's only going to get better. Lamb's still going to be.
What about AJ Brown saying that he wanted to come play with?
That could be the other thing, whether free agency,
Yeah, he said that on Twitter. He said he wanted. Maybe that wasn't. I'm not speaking correctly here. That may have been a joke. So,
it's hard for me to think that AJ Brown is that dumb that he would be on the Eagles and say he wants to go play for the biggest rival.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. I saw a tweet, but I think someone drew that up. And
no, there's no way. Yeah, dude.
As I'm saying that, I remember
Philly fans would already. He would not be on the field for the Eagles ever again if that happened.
You saw him more like he used his legs more this year. Like he's full 2 years now removed from that injury, so we saw more of that. So.
Well, also, he got those interceptions in check too. Only 9 interceptions this year after last year having 15. So definitely taking care of the ball a lot more this season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so. I think like this season is Dak's ceiling. I can't imagine things going better than they did this year for him. 37 touchdowns, 36 touchdowns. His high is 37, 9 interceptions. That's been his best in 3 years. 2 rushing touchdowns, 240 yards on the ground. Like, I don't know how much higher he can go than that. So, if he has another good year, that's why I have him at 8. I don't think 8's like a disrespectful, rank for him. I think he has a similar year as last year, probably not as good, a little bit lower. But again, super early.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll kick it off to the next portion of this rankings and the disparity. You have
Justin Fields. Let's go there.
Yeah. You have Justin Fields, Mike, at 7. Shane, you have him at 9. I have him down at 14. And as a Bears fan, I'll speak on this. I was hoping to see a lot more from Fields this season. I think he only played 13 games. He threw for 2,600 yards, 16 touchdowns, 9 interceptions in 13 games. And on a per game basis, I just didn't see enough of what I wanted to see from him, what I thought he was capable of. And yeah, that goes into Luke Getsy, the offensive coordinator. And that whole system around the Bears was not good this season, better towards the end of the season. But I just didn't see enough from him that I wanted to see. His barely reaching 200 yards passing. I mean, he had a stretch of games in the early middle season where he was throwing 300 plus yards, but not enough multiple touchdowns, not enough rushing touchdowns. His upside is that his rushing yards. He
had one game with 300.
Yeah, there you go. One game with 300. He had another game close to it, didn't he?
282, against Washington.
Yeah, trash. So he hit that bubble a few times, but not enough, and not as many as I thought he would. So for me, I just if he stays with the Bears, I'm just not trusting him. There's a lot of quarterbacks that are going to be good next year, and I just as much as I love Fields and the Bears, I probably won't be drafting him next year.
So that was my question for you, Truck. Was your ranking based on him staying with the Bears or leaving?
Yeah. So the way my thought process with these rankings, I'm going current situation. I'm not anticipating any moves. I did not rank quarterbacks for certain teams: the Falcons, the Patriots, the Broncos, Commanders, Vikings, and Giants. Those 6 teams have such a big question mark for me that I didn't rank. Kirk Cousins is a free agent. Daniel Jones, I don't like. He should be back because of how much money they owe him. But let's stay on Fields.
Yeah,
I'm just talking about my thought process on the rankings. But yes. I feel like I've spoken enough on Fields on why I have him low.
Okay, so you're basically saying the Bears are going to be dog shit next year.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. I just wanted to get that out of you because Fields at 14 means the Bears are bad. I kind of have the same as Fields. I have him at 7, and I think Fields in my rankings is a Bear. He really shouldn't be. I think I have a firm stance now on where I lay with this whole Fields Caleb thing. The Bears need to draft Caleb Williams. Like, he is outstanding. His arm is better than we've seen, period. So what are you seeing from Fields that makes you think that he's the better option at quarterback for your franchise for the next 15 years? Like, he's not a 15-year starting quarterback. So get the guy that is going to be. I don't know. I'm fully on the Caleb's side of this debate now, but if Fields stays with the Bears, if they add a Marvin Harrison Jr. or a Malik Neighbors and have another all-star wide receiver with DJ Moore, the running game could probably be a little bit more Roschon involved next year and keep Khalil Lil Herbie as a like home run hitting, change of pace back. And the Bears defense from Flus is coached up and you get a Brian Burns, for example, add another big time high profile piece. The Bears could be a playoff team and could be don't make me say it.
Say it.
Super Bowl contending. I mean, with the right offense and all that talent on that team, like the NFC is wide open. So definitely. I could see Fields having an outstanding year in the right situation. And if he has an outstanding year, then he's, 7 is way too low on him. I think that's a realistic possibility. Now, that's with a competent organization, and the Bears are not that, so they'll fuck it up.
Yep. What do we got next?
I was hoping Shane O'Mac would give us his Fields take.
Well, I think so. I have 2 takes on him. So one, if I was running the Bears, I would draft Caleb because two things: better talent, and then you reset the quarterback paying clock for 5 more years, and then you can really load up your team with that cost savings. Otherwise, you're going to be left paying Fields here in the next year $45 million a year.
Yeah.
Probably.
The other thing that I just can't stand is people who are like, oh, well, like realistic within reason, you're drafting Caleb as a Hall of Fame quarterback. Like that's what if you're a believer in Caleb Williams and his talent, his height, the hype surrounding him is that he is a Hall of Fame quarterback. Like, people that are like, oh, you can't say that. That's absolutely ridiculous. Like anything can happen. No shit. But your intentions for drafting him is because he is Hall of Fame caliber. Like that you're drafting him to be the number 1 overall best prospect since Andrew Luck. That's your intentions of drafting him are. So is Justin Fields, does he have that ceiling right now? No, he doesn't. Okay, well then fucking draft Caleb Williams. Like to me, it's a no-brainer. So and I can't stand the people that act like you cannot put that Hall of Fame expectations, that Pro Bowl expectations. That's why you're fucking drafting him. Like you're just an idiot. Like, so I don't know. That's my stance on like. Is Fields a Hall of Fame quarterback? Is he someone that you could see being 10 years leading your team? If that answer's no, then you have someone here that is thought to be that guy. So fucking draft him,
Well, and from a fantasy perspective, why I still have him in the top 12, I think one of 2 things. If he stays in Chicago, I think one of those top tier wide receivers at pick 9, maybe. And then if they trade him, if he goes to Atlanta with a competent offensive coach, that's a great setup too
100%.
100%. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. Players leave the Bears and they go on to do great things on other teams. So I would see that. And to be fair, I have Fields too low. I was trying to find a good spot for him. I put him at 14. Probably should have bumped him up a couple slots, but I'm sure that'll change when we get news later on in the year.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the Falcons are kind of a organization that don't make the right coaching decisions either. So, like, I've a lot of names that I've been hearing. Well, I've been hearing everyone going there, but a lot of defensive names. So, hopefully, they can get someone in there that's young, OC. Listen, the main guy, the Bears are supposedly extremely aggressive after Shane Waldron, and that would be the best offensive coordinator hire you can make this offseason. So if a guy like that goes to Atlanta and Fields goes along with, like, what he's done with Geno Smith has been amazing. Imagine what a talent of Fields with all of that talent surrounding him would be like. And you're right. Then we're bumping him up, into our top 5.
Yeah. All right, Mike, you have Anthony Richardson down at 14. Shane and I have him at 7. Identical there. So talk about Anthony Richardson.
I'll keep it really simple. He's going to get injured.
Okay. So you're anticipating a re-injury there.
Every year is his entire career.
Okay.
Did you watch the way he plays football?
Yes.
So you're not playing quarterback. He got injured like twice a game.
Yes, he did. He did.
Literally every game. Did he play? Did he ever play 100% snaps one of his games?
I'd have to look.
I think he went into the tent every single game he played this year. He did against the Rams week 4. He played 100% of snaps, 27 points. 10 rushes, 56 yards, a touchdown, two passing touchdowns. He was 11 for 25 throwing the ball, and that's what I kind of said he was going to be out of college because that's what he was in college. Mm-hmm. He has the right coach there. They did incredible this year with Gardner Minshew, and I think, outperformed expectations despite falling short to CJ Stroud, but he's going to get injured. And then what does he become, a pocket passer and not have a good accurate arm? I'm not a believer in him still.
Okay. I think some of that may have been just rookie year. He gets that coached into him this offseason about, hey, you learn to take a slide. You learn to go out of bounds 2 or 3 yards before instead of leaning in and take a hit. And
hopefully that's
my hope.
That's the optimistic view for sure. Yeah.
I'm just kind of betting on the talent, and he gets coached up out of those habits.
Yeah, just for me, I'm not going to anticipate any re-injury, and I think if he has a full season, he's a top 10 quarterback without a doubt, in my opinion, from what I saw in the limited sample size. So
yeah, for me, it's just from what I saw, there's no way he's not going to get injured. I still think so I won't be drafting him if he's going to be drafted this high.
Yeah.
I think he'd be a great best ball draft pick because he's going to have huge games if he does play. But if you draft him, just draft another quarterback, draft a Matt Stafford, draft a Matt Stafford is the perfect example of someone to draft. But
yeah,
I just optimistically, Shane's right. That's coached into him. Is it going to be I don't think so. I just think the way that he even runs the ball is so aggressive. In order for that to be coached into him, it has to be starting from scratch. You've never played football before. This is the way we're going to do it, So he's going to have to go wipe the entire slate clean in order to learn how to be cautious with his legs.
Yeah.
It can be done, obviously, and Shane Steichen's the right guy to do it, but he's just asking to get hurt all the time.
Yeah. All right. What about the next guy on Shane and mine's list? Number 8, Brock Purdy. Kulz another similar case. You have him down at 17. And I know you started the season hating on Purdy. You had a a realization that, hey, he's not that bad. He'll be the starter the rest of the season. You posted an apology, and then he, goes on that run of inconsistencies. So go ahead and talk your slander about Purdy.
It's not slander. He's just not good. Like, he's not talented. He's physically talented. He's mentally talented. He's a game manager. He doesn't turn the ball over too much, although he threw 4 interceptions to the Ravens, I think, in the first half. Again, the Niners are humming. They're incredible. It's hard to imagine a world right now where they're not by far the best team in the league. I think they win the Super Bowl, which is I don't think they win this. I don't know if I think they win the Super Bowl yet. I think they're going to be in the Super Bowl 100%. Is Purdy going to be in a situation during that Super Bowl where he has to make a very good big play? Then I still don't have confidence in him to do that. But they are such a wagon. My point being is, in the NFL, it's so hard for teams to have that much going for them for that long. Look at the Eagles. They just completely imploded. I just don't see another season where Purdy's throwing 3 touchdowns a game, no interceptions, 350 yards. I'm looking right now. That's happened 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. He's been over 330, whatever. So to me, it's just like natural regression that happens in the NFL. Something will happen. I'm not a Purdy guy, so I'm not drafting him in the top 10 ever.
Makes sense. I disagree with you, though. I do think Brock Purdy showed enough this season that shows that he is talented. He's on one of the best teams in football. I think that continues next year. And I wish I had the stats with me pulled up, but I mean, what Purdy was able to do this season, leading the league in a lot of different categories, he was just impressive. And, there was a few spots where he didn't look good and threw a lot of interceptions, like the one you mentioned with the Ravens. But I think all in all, I liked what I saw from him this year, and I think I'm comfortable drafting him inside the top 10 next year. Shane, what do you think?
Yeah, I was, this year coming off that shoulder surgery, I was shocked what he was able to do. So now he gets a full another year off of that. I don't anticipate the offensive weapons changing, right? Nobody's leaving. They're all staying. That system is in place still, which makes him look terrific.
And is Trent's getting older now, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's still
Trent's fine.
Yeah, he's still fine for a tackle. Yeah,
he'll be fine for a few years.
All right.
Purdy, yeah. We'll see. Kittle's getting older. I think McCaffrey will be the 101 next year. McCaffrey, you can draft with confidence. He's going to be awesome.
Yeah, you can lock that in.
And nothing's changing, right? It's just I have a hard time believing that they're going to be, a lot of Purdy's top of the league statistical categories that you mentioned for me is the team and the offense and Shanahan. So, I said my rankings are a lot of just talent based right now because I need to understand the situation as we get closer to the season. We're not even into the off season yet. So, talent is going to play a role into pretty much my entire ranking.
Okay. All right. Let's see. CJ Stroud, we both, Mike and I have him at 9. Shane, you have him at 6. I love what I saw from CJ Stroud. I wanted to put him higher. I think he's going to improve next year. His highlight this year was only 5 interceptions. He did a really good job of taking care of the football, 23 touchdowns, over 4,000 yards his rookie year, which is really impressive. And I think he gets better next year. So I feel like I have him too low. I should probably move him up. Shane, what do you think?
Yeah, so it's similar to the San Francisco setup. He's got Bobby Slowick as his coordinator who came from the Shanahan system. So he's put this great offensive play calling system in place where he just needs somebody to make those throws. And Stroud can do that. He can use his legs more next year, I think, even than he did this year. Offensive weapons are all back, assuming Tank Dell's broken leg is fine by then, which I assume so.
Yeah, I think they need to get a better running game. The Singletary and Pierce. I hope they either sign a veteran or draft a young one. They got to switch that up and get a better running game in there. But yeah, I have high hopes for the Texans this year.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Saquon.
Oh man, yeah,
yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
All right, where do you guys want to go next? How about Deshaun Watson?
Yes.
Shane and I have Deshaun Watson at 18 and 19. Mike, you have him up at 10. What's going on there?
I don't have much to say. I'm not going to sound smart anything that I say with it, because everyone's just going to punch back of like, Deshaun Watson, he hasn't looked good. All right. I think he's going to eventually. I don't think his career is over. So I think Deshaun Watson, talent-wise, it's still there and it's coming. So
yeah, that's fair. I couldn't rank him that high. From the games that we saw from him, I mean, he had two finishes inside the top 10. Well, actually 3 finishes inside the top 10. I don't know. I wasn't thoroughly impressed with as much as I thought I would be with Watson, because we were both high on him coming into this season, but I've tamed that expectation for next year. Shane, what do you think?
Yeah, I wish I could come up with a very smart take of why he is not the same quarterback he is in Houston. I don't know what it is, but he just doesn't look the same,
Yeah.
Now maybe last year was rust of not playing for 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he shakes that off, but I don't know. Just what I saw just doesn't look the same, and I don't know if he gets back to there. Yeah, I just don't know. He'll have weapons there. Like Cooper's not going anywhere. They've got Elijah Moore. They've got a great tight end in Njoku. They've got a great young wide receiver in Cedric Tillman, right? That'll be better. So
yeah, I like Tillman. I'll be high on Tillman next year. I think they're going to come close. I think they're going to beat the Texans this week. Although Denzel Ward being out is concerning for sure. But I think that they took a huge step this year, and then he'll take another step next year. I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's not something that I can really defend based on how he's looked as a Brown. I mean, first 3 weeks he had 2 games where he was put up 20 points, and that's as he was knocking that rust off. So what would that have looked like, in weeks 10 through 13 if he was healthy throughout the season? Probably significant, probably better. So I don't know. He hasn't been able to knock the rust off, so it's hard to put a competent take together that I can really get behind. Other than I think he's too good to just have his career go out the way that it currently is.
Yeah, I can agree with you there. All right, how about Trevor Lawrence? Mike, you have him at 11. I have him at 16, and Shane has him at 15. What's going on with Trevor? Do you have anything to say there?
No, talent, same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really struggled with him because I think he's
too.
Great quarterback. So when I do my rankings, I am kind of projecting what I think will happen in free agency. So like in my mind, I think Calvin Ridley is gone. I don't know if Zay Jones is back. But man, I do struggle with him, and he could be one that I bring up because I do think he's probably one of the top 7 talented quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, I think he's a little injured or something this year. I don't know what's going on with the Jaguars. So this is another same as Deshaun. Like, it's same as Herbert. It's hard for me to defend these guys right now, not knowing the situation of going into next year. But something is going on with the Jaguars right now. It's not that Trevor Lawrence is not a good quarterback.
No, you know what I think
you're
also
absolutely right.
This year, what did not help him, and it did not help my preseason take, was Travis Etienne got a lot more work around the 10-yard line and the end zone area, and a lot more rushing opportunities than I think was seen in the past. And that took away some touchdown scores from Lawrence, I think, also.
Yeah, it's I don't know what happened. It's weird to say. I think I'll have ETN high again next year. I think, again, he was going to have a phenomenal year. And then whatever's been going on with the Jags has just slowed everyone down this year. So we'll see what the offseason looks like. They're going to have to shake some things up and figure some stuff out. But, depending on what that roster looks like heading into training camp, he could either rise or fall to where you guys have him,
Yeah. All right. I don't see many other discrepancies. If you guys see any, point them out. But Jordan Love.
So that's what I wanted to bring up.
Yeah,
he
finishes what, quarterback 5 this year?
Do we have him too low? Because a couple of things, like he's got a good offensive coach. He's in a division that's going to be competitive, high-scoring games. He's got a great set of young offensive wide receiver weapons, right? Great young wide receiving tight ends.
Yeah. Of over 4,000 yards passing, 32 touchdowns. He had 4 rushing touchdowns, did throw 11 interceptions, but the guy was throwing touchdowns that. Like he really was, and the yards to back it up too. So I feel like I have him too low, but I just didn't know where to put him.
And how many games was he without Christian Watson this year? It seemed like that guy was missing 2 or 3 games in chunks all throughout the year.
Yeah, for that team being so young, Jordan Love did a phenomenal job this season. Phenomenal job.
Yeah, so I don't think I'm pretty confident where I have him. I think this is where I had him last year. It's pretty close. Let me look. My rankings, I had Love at 16, so not 12, but so I had him a little bit lower. I was higher on Love, and then seeing like him be quarterback 5. Obviously, I don't think anyone had him at QB 5.
No.
I don't. There's no rushing upside with him.
No.
He did have 4 sneaks. He had 30 plus rushing yards twice, but there's not you're not going to think of him as a dual threat. You're not drafting him for rushing upside. To me, he's like Dak Prescott, basically.
Like a Tua,
I'm not going to say he reached his ceiling because I think that his team and offense only gets better with how young they are. But because he doesn't have those that rushing upside, I have to then rank him separately against guys that like Burrow, Mahomes, Herbert, Dak, Stroud, I would say are the non-rushing upside guys ahead of him that I have.
Trevor,
obviously Lawrence and Trevor, these two, which I could easily have him at 10 and not 12, but I'm not putting him before a Herbert, Stroud, Mahomes, and Burrow. So that's just where he falls in the non-rushing upside rankings. That's kind of the way my brain looks at it by separating the two. Like I only have Lamar this at 4 because of his rushing upside. Same with Hurts. Allen's on a whole different level completely, but it's the field, so that's the way that my brain kind of looks at it. And I'm not putting him above those guys. So that's just kind of where he naturally falls. I could easily do this. And be completely fine.
Yeah. Yep.
So.
Yeah, I like that. All right, you guys see anything else that you guys want to mention or talk about before we?
One thing I would mention real quickly is I think we need to pay attention to. We've got 2 years worth of data now on Tua, where he comes out the first half of the year blazing, and the second half of the year is a nosedive. Like I think from after his bye this year, he only had one 300-yard game, and he never threw for more than 2 touchdowns. But he's had 2 straight years now where the second half of the season is quite a bit different than the first half. So it's maybe something to pay attention to, going next year.
This was his first fully healthy season. Played, I think 16 or 17 games. What did he have? 4,600 yards. I think did he lead the league in passing yards? I think he did. 4,600 passing yards, career high in touchdowns and interceptions, obviously with him playing a full season. But yeah, I mean, as long as you're throwing the ball to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, I would imagine is going to get better next year. I still like Tua. I think he deserves to be in the top 12. That's kind of where that's why I have him inside there.
Yeah, so I'm looking here. Week 11 on. Yeah, he only had 1 game over 300. 2 touchdowns, 1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns, 0, 1, 1, 2, 1. So his numbers just, I don't know. I don't know what it is later in the year, but it's interesting.
Yeah, it definitely is. Cole, did you see anything else on this list?
So, yes. One thing I thought of is Burrow starts slow, Tua starts hot, and then they flip. Some best ball teams might have Burrow and Tua on them. So, but yeah, so I think that I have Kyler Murray at 18. You have him at 19. And Shane O'Mac has him at 11.
Yep.
If I get news so I think Shane O'Mac's thinking that
Marvin Harrison
is there, and if that's the case, then he's going to shoot up because he's got that rushing upside, and then now he has the best, literally a top 3 overnight wide receiver. So that would make me boost him significantly, but I just wanted to highlight that because there was that difference.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Teams that I think that are going to regress: Baker Mayfield. I have Cousins there because I think he'll be on the Vikings, and I don't know. I could probably end up moving him up if he does go to the Vikings, but I can't imagine too much. Rodgers, it's hard to see him come back and lighting the world on fire. Same with Daniel Jones. I think Derek Carr regresses, even though he ended the season on such a high. Who knows with Russell? I'm not a huge Levis guy, and Bryce is just on a team that's completely lost. So,
yeah, I'm excited to see what Aaron Rodgers can actually do with that offense, with that team. I have him at 15.
Yeah. Where do you have him, Shane? 20. Yeah. So, yeah. So one other thing, you guys have Geno. I don't even have him ranked because I don't think he's going to be a starting quarterback next year.
Could be. That could be the case.
Yeah. He's under contract now, but yeah, you're absolutely right.
With his head coach gone,
he has a contract, but I don't know that he's a QB1. I think he might be getting paid $30 million to sit in the back seat.
Yeah.
Or get released.
Yep. Did you
what does Geno look like on the Falcons? We haven't talked about that at all. Does that look good?
I don't think so.
Does that look better than Ritter?
I mean, probably better than Ritter.
Yes.
But overall, not that much.
Does it though?
Yes, I'm going to say it looks better than Ritter.
I do too. Yeah, I would say that too.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think Drake London would have a really good season.
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe he was in a good system with the Seahawks, and he's as dog shit as he was the last 10 years.
I would rather see a Jaden Daniels in Atlanta be the starter, but
yeah. I think just to kind of wrap things up here, this conversation is we are going to have rookie quarterbacks in here. We're going to have, what is Saquon to the Texans due to CJ Stroud? Is he top 5? For me, probably. There's so much that needs to play out, and we're going to update our rankings as this news all comes out. I think we should probably shuffle everything one more time before or after all the coaching news happens, before the NFL draft, after the NFL draft, and we'll be updating our Substack and keeping this
that's a great
I would
plug right there.
Yeah, for the Substack.
Yeah, it's thefantasyroadshow.substack.com. We will be posting these rankings as well as all of our other rankings, along with the articles and stuff. So make sure you guys follow along with the Substack.
Yeah, I think one thing that we need to do, we'll learn this off season when we have time, is I know there's ways that you can create like a Google Live document and have it posted so that when we're switching our rankings, like it's posted so people can view but not edit, obviously. So when we're switching our rankings as things are moving fast, like in draft season, we don't have to like continue to post it every week at Monday, which we'll probably do anyways, is send out a Substack, every Monday at 11 a.m. with our new updated rankings, but having one live so that as news comes in, people, if they're drafting, they can have the most updated version.
Yeah, I agree. We'll look into that.
Sweet.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining, watching, listening. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. You guys know the drill. This episode is brought to you by Rule One Proteins. Go to www.rule1proteins.com. Enter promo code Roadies40 at checkout for 40% off. That's Roadies40 for 40% off. Shane, Mike, thanks for joining us today. And be on the lookout. We got running back rankings coming up next. We got wide receivers after that, tight ends. You guys know the drill.
So we decided Monday at 11 a.m.
Yes, this episode will be live at Monday at 11 a.m. We are pre-recording this one, and expect all.
Yeah. So the 15th.
Expect all episodes Monday morning at 11 a.m. For you guys to tune in.
The 15th, quarterbacks, running backs, 22nd, wide receivers, the 29th, and then tight ends on February 5th.
Yep. That's the deal. Again, thank you everyone for watching, paying attention, and you guys are the best. Everybody buckle up.
Buckle up.